Hello, guys, and welcome back to another edition of Baseball Talk with the Earle brothers. My name is Nicholas Earle, and I'm joined here with my brother Tim. And for this video, the Mets made a trade. They get relief pitcher, right-handed pitcher Tyler Rogers from the San Francisco Giants in exchange for outfielder Drew Gilbert, the 12th rated prospect in the system, Blade Tidwell, the 10th rated prospect in the system, and José Buttó, a right-handed pitcher that was part of the New York Mets. Let's take a look at this trade, and I know a lot of people right off the rip, this trade on paper looks more expensive than it is in reality. The way I looked at it, because that was the first thing that I thought of right away was wholly overpay. Then I was like, not really. Let's take a look at it. For starters, Tyler Rogers has been phenomenal this year. He's thrown to a 1.8 ERA. He's got that funky. Basically, it looks like his hand
underhand
hits round.
They call it the knuckle dragger.
Yeah, the knuckle dragger. He is just one of those really uncomfortable at bats that is very tough to read, and has led him to pitching a lot of innings. And he doesn't throw fast, though. That's one thing. He doesn't throw fast, but he's very deceptive. Keeps the ball on the ground, keeps the ball in the ballpark, and is an effective reliever and has a rubber arm that can pitch a lot. And that is something that the Mets are really going to like down the stretch when they need bullpen arms and things along those lines. And on the flip side, I know this looks like a lot. It's really not. Drew Gilbert, who is the number 10 who was the number 10 or the 12 prospect, system in the New York for the New York Mets, and Blade Tidwell, the 10th rated prospect. Here's the thing: is when you look at MLB.com, I'm using them for all the trade videos and stuff like that, but they don't update all the time, and a lot of different other prospect graders really graded those guys in the 20s with updated rankings, because Drew Gilbert and Blade Tidwell have kind of slid down the pecking order of the Mets system. Now they do slot in 12th. Blade Tidwell is 12th on the Giants. Drew Gilbert's 13th. So I don't see it as that big of an overpayment, though. Drew Gilbert is a outfielder who I think his ceiling for the Mets was a fourth outfielder, kind of a bench bat type of role, because Jet Williams is higher than him. And why do I always keep forgetting the other guy's name? And not including Carson Bench as well.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a third guy that I like above Gilbert. And then for Gilbert, he's a solid player. 50 hit tool, 45 power, 55 run, 60 arm, 55 field, overall 45. He'll be a decent fourth outfielder for the San Francisco Giants. Blade Tidwell is somebody who can slot into the rotation right now for the San Francisco Giants. He made starts for the Mets earlier in the year and was currently on the 40-man roster for the Mets, which this moving Buttó, which we'll talk about with Helsley later, opened up a 40-man roster spot as well. And so did trading Blade Tidwell, because Tidwell is on the 40-man roster as well, and they needed to clear up a roster spot. Tidwell, 55 fastball, 40 curveball, 60 slider, 45 changeup, 50 cutter, 45 control overall, 45 drafted in the second round in 2022. And for me, with Tidwell, I feel like he was expendable. Like, he was one of those pitchers, because he's not Nolan McLean, he's not Brennan Sprout, he's not Jonathan. Pretty plain and simple. The Mets have their top guys that they're holding on to, that they're not planning on trading. And they do, and they have those players that they are planning on moving, and Blade Tidwell was one of them. And then José Buttó was out of options. And with the additions to the bullpen, they needed to open up bullpen spots, and they weren't just going to option José Buttó. They were going to trade him to get some value out of him, because if you're making multiple bullpen moves, he was one of the guys that was going to be on his way out. So overall, my thoughts is it looked like an overpay on paper. But after breaking it down, not as much. Tim, what's your thoughts on this trade?
That was I had 3 initial reactions to it. I saw them get him. I was super pumped, super excited. I saw the haul. I'm like, okay, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. That's a lot. Then I had the third part of it of, actually, hold on, let me sit down and actually look at this. José Buttó was struggling this year. He had control issues. He was not as good as he was last year. He was a lot better last year. Now, you look at the 2 prospects, and everybody's going to like, oh my God, they gave up so much. Not really. Drew Gilbert was not even our top, what would he be, 3 or 4 in terms of outfielders. And he's a corner outfielder. There's a little bit of a problem there, Nick. Who are our corner outfielders right now? Brandon Nimmo. Nimmo, who's going to be there for 5 years. Soto, that's going to be there for 15. There's no room for him. So that's an expendable piece. And then you look at Mr. Tidwell. You've got, as you mentioned, 3 pitchers above him. So at the end of the day, these are expendable pieces. And no, I don't think they gave up too much for him. Because at the end of the day, we've seen, look at the market for for relief arms. It's insane. We're going to talk about the Phillies trade with Duran, where they gave up 2 top 10 prospects. This reliever market is insane, and you're going to have to give up something for it. This feels also like a move that the Mets can go and say, Rogers, I know you're 33 or 34 years old. Here's a 2 or 3 year contract for $15, $20 million. Come play with us for the next couple of years. Done. There's another one of your relievers who's been phenomenal over the last couple of years. By the way, Rogers, second in ERA for relief pitchers, only behind, I believe it was Morjan, who has a 1.63. Other than that,
Diaz.
not even Diaz. But actually, let's look up Edwin Diaz real quick. He should be more under saves. Edwin Diaz with 1.48 for the Diaz. So yes, my bad. For 42. So yes, you got Diaz, and Munoz also has a 1.32, and Chapman has a 1.29. But you got a guy that's below 2 ERA reliever, solid piece.
Yeah. So overall, I feel like the Mets did well, and I think the Giants did pretty well as well, because these may have been Mets prospects that are just spare parts at this point, because they have better prospects out there, whether for Gilbert it's Williams, it's Benj, it's Clifford, or with Tidwell it's Sproat, it's McLean, it's Tong. It felt like the Giants, though, they could use Tidwell right now.
Yep.
And Gilbert can slot into that outfield potentially, and Buttó can enter into that bullpen where they need bullpen help. So it feels like the Giants did pretty well in this trade as well. So I feel like it was a win-win. But let us know in the comment section below who you thought won this trade. Who do you think did better? Did you think the Mets overpaid? I personally don't, now looking at this trade a little bit more. But that's going to do it for this one. I want to thank you guys always for watching. We'll catch you guys in the next trade video. Peace out, guys.